Welcome back for another deck tech concerning the game in which you can break everything in one way or another. In this video, I want to help those of us who have a similar goal. You see, I love elves, and this is partially because my first constructed deck I did properly was a standard deck, which was an elf ball deck. It did really well, and I wanted to replicate it in Commander. And the reason for that is, well, I wanted to take my elven army and dominate Commander and sit on top of my elven throne just like I did in Standard. That being said, Elf Ball is the strategy, and this means that I need a commander that fits Elf Ball. So I chose Dwynen Gilt-Leaf Daen. This card is an elf lord that can lead your elves into battle by giving them +1/+1 counters, and when Dwynen attacks as well, you also gain life equal to the number of elves that attacked. This is a very good start to the army. The next thing you need to do is get some of the star players for the front lines. Some of the elves that I can think of are Landwar Elves, Arbor Elf, and Elvish Mystic. These will support you from the front lines very well by providing you mana ramp, which will allow you to, speed up your process, and they're also creatures who are able to fight, so you can build your army even faster. Another card I really want to highlight is Copperhorn Scout. This card allows you to have pseudo-vigilance as long as you attack with it. This could allow you to attack for damage and then be aggressive without sacrificing tempo by tapping your mana dorks. Or, more simply, just allow you to attack with more elves, knowing that they're going to untap and be able to block after anyway. Now let's get to the cards that are really big accelerators. Cards like Marwyn the Nurturer, Elvish Archdruid, and Circle of Dreams Druid. These are essentially like putting a cinder block on your gas pedal of your car. They're going to give you a bunch of mana and basically allow you to afford anything in your deck when it comes to mana. That being said, this is where you will hit the first roadblock in this deck, card draw. You need to make sure that you have the ability to refill your hand, because if you don't, you will stall. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Cards that will solve this problem are Beast Whisperer, Guardian Project, and Lifecrafter's Bestiary. These cards will allow you to continue doing what you want to do, which is build your elf army by playing elves. And then they'll just reward you some card draw on the side because, why not? Now that you have all the mana and all the card draw that you need, it is time to talk about how elves win. There are a lot of ways to make your elves huge that naturally fit in this deck. You could rely on many elf lords like Elvish Clan Caller and Azuri Renegade Leader, to name a few, but trust me, a basic Google search or a look at the deck list will show you that there are plenty to choose from. The next is to use some artifacts or enchantments to just help give that little push that your army needs. Some of the ones that I use are Song of Freyalise, Coat of Arms, and Akroma's Memorial. These all allow your elves to have newfound power, whether it's through evasion and keywords, or making them as big as an Eldrazi Titan. It doesn't really matter how they help you get through, as long as they help you. Some of the other ways that you can win include Genesis Wave for like a 30, Overwhelming Stampede, or one of my favorites, Cultivator Blades. The best thing about all of these win cons, and my favorite part personally, is that they all have one thing in common, and that is that they stack really well with each other. For example, playing an Overwhelming Stampede, assuming that it's going to give +5/+5 to everything, which is a pretty safe bet at this point in the game, with the Cultivator Blades on the field, which is probably at least a 4/4 at this point, will mean that it becomes a 9/9. And then when you attack with it, it's now going to give everything +9/+9. So you're going to get +5/+5 from the Overwhelming Stampede and +9/+9 from the Cultivator Blades, which means that everything you're attacking with is at least a 15/15. In my opinion, that's why this deck is just so fun to pilot, is because it all comes together and it feels like one cohesive elf army. And my favorite part about it all is thinking back that most of it all started with just 1/1 elves. So it all really came from this deck. The one caution I will give you with this deck is that it's a very fast deck, and if your playgroup isn't very experienced, then it might feel a little unfair to them how quick it is. And this is because without proper interaction, this deck does look to kill someone by turn 6 ideally, and that's pretty quick for a lot of people's decks. So just be mindful of the fact that some people might think that this deck is a little unfair. That should give you some pretty cool ideas for this deck. As always, there's a full deck list in the description, but I would prefer for you to put your own spin on it. For example, I have Sandworm Convergence in this deck because it was one of the cards in the original standard version, and my first rare from opening a pack, so I might have a little bit of a pet card thing going on with it. Anyway, if you found this video useful, consider leaving a like, and if you want more videos like this in the future, maybe subscribe. That's it, until we meet again, whether it's on this plane or another, have a wonderful day.